Marcus has been investing for 6 years. Every paycheck, $150, goes straight into his index fund. No exceptions. He hasn't touched it once. He did everything the internet told him to do. Last Tuesday, he opened his app and looked at the number $13,400. He'd deposited $10,800 of that himself. The market gave him $2,600 over 6 years. He didn't feel wealthy, he felt embarrassed. So Marcus did what most people do at that point. He started questioning everything. Wrong fund? Bad timing? Not enough diversification? He spent 2 weeks on Reddit trying to figure out what he'd done wrong. Here's the thing Marcus didn't know. He hadn't done anything wrong. The math just wasn't on his side yet, and nobody had ever told him why. I'm your friendly investor, and I spend too much time thinking about why some people watch their money compound into freedom, while others invest patiently for years and feel like nothing is happening. If you're someone who wants to understand how compounding actually works, not the version they sell you with a 30-year chart, make sure to subscribe. We break down the real mechanics every week without the highlight reel. And if this video ends up changing how you see your money, a thumbs up tells the algorithm to show it to someone who needs it. Now, let's talk about the wall nobody mentions. Here's what every personal finance channel teaches about compound interest. They show you the graph, the one where a small amount of money grows slowly at first, then bends upward into this beautiful hockey stick curve. They show you the penny doubled every day for 30 days, turning into $5 million. And the message is always the same. Just start early, stay consistent, and let compounding do the work. That advice isn't wrong, but it's dangerously incomplete. Because what that graph never shows you, what nobody mentions when they're selling you on the magic of compounding, is that the curve only bends after you cross a certain threshold. Below that threshold, the graph is flat, almost completely flat, and you can sit on that flat part for years, doing everything right, and feel like the magic never showed up. That gap between where most people are and where compounding actually kicks in is the wall, and it's the thing that separates people who eventually retire comfortably from people who invested faithfully for decades and still ran out of money. Let me show you exactly what's happening with the math. Say you've saved $5,000 and you're earning 8% annually, a solid return. Year 1, you make $400. That $400 then compounds the next year and earns you $32. $32. That's your compounding working at $5,000. You can't feel it. You can barely see it. You're not building a snowball. You're rolling a marble down a slightly inclined surface. Now let's run the same numbers at $100,000. Same 8% return. You make $8,000 in year 1. That $8,000 compounds and earns you $640 the following year. Now your returns are generating returns that are larger than what most people save in a month. Now the snowball is picking up actual snow. This is what Charlie Munger meant when he said the first $100,000 is the hardest. Not emotionally, although it is, but mathematically. Below $100,000, you are the engine, your savings rate, your income, your decisions. The market is barely a supporting actor. Above $100,000, something structurally shifts. The money starts doing a meaningful share of the work for you. You cross the compounding minimum, the base you need for growth to compound into growth you can actually feel. Let me show you the difference this makes in two people's lives. Meet Sarah and David. Same age, 28, same job. Same salary, $65,000 a year. Same city. They both start investing at the same time. Sarah focuses exclusively on minimizing her expenses. She cuts subscriptions, packs lunch every day, and invests $400 a month. By age 38, She has $73,000. David keeps his expenses reasonable, but spends 2 years developing a skill that earns him a $22,000 raise. He invests $700 a month. By age 38, he has $129,000. Both of them have been investing for 10 years, but David crossed the compounding minimum. Sarah is still on the flat part of the curve. From 38 to 65, 27 more years of compounding, David's $129,000 grows to $941,000. Sarah's $73,000 grows to $533,000. The 10-year gap in their base, $56,000, became a $408,000 difference by retirement. Not because David was smarter, not because he picked better funds, because he crossed the threshold first. That's the compounding minimum. And most people spend their entire financial lives below it. Here's where it gets serious. According to the Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances, the median retirement savings for an American household between 55 and 64 years old is approximately $185,000. That means half of all households approaching retirement have less than that. Think about what that number tells you. These aren't people who didn't invest. Many of them invested for decades, but they spent the majority of those decades on the flat part of the curve. They were below the compounding minimum for so long that by the time the math got interesting, they were already counting down to withdrawal. And here's the part that should make you genuinely angry. The advice they received for 30 years, cut the lattes, automate your savings, just be consistent, was technically correct, but it was incomplete in a way that changed their retirement completely. Because that advice assumes the gap between where you are and where compounding kicks in is closable through frugality. For some people, it is. For a lot of people earning $40,000 with $1,400 rent, a car payment, and student loans, you cannot optimize your way to $100,000. You can squeeze every dollar and still be building the runway 1 inch at a time while the threshold stays miles away. This isn't pessimism. It's the honest version of the graph nobody shows you. Every time your savings account gets drained by an emergency and you start from zero again, that's not just a setback, that's resetting the compounding clock. Every reset costs you years, not months, because you're not just losing the money, you're losing the time that money needed to cross the minimum. If Marcus had started from $30,000 instead of zero, just $30,000, and invested that same $150 a month for 6 years, he wouldn't have $13,400. He'd have $62,000, and he'd be able to feel his money working. Not because he did anything differently, because the base was closer to the threshold. Here's the good news. The wall is real, but it's not permanent. Here's exactly how you get over it. Step 1. Recognize that below the threshold, income is the lever, not budgeting. This is not hustle culture. This is math. At $5,000 invested, earning $1 extra does more for your trajectory than saving $1 through frugality. Because you're adding to the base, not just preserving it. A raise, a skill that pays more, a side project with real revenue. These compound your path to the threshold faster than any expense cut. You cannot optimize your way across a gap that wide. You have to earn your way across it. That doesn't mean spending recklessly. It means understanding where the highest leverage effort goes. And below $50,000, the answer is almost always income, not optimization. Step 2. Protect the base like it's irreplaceable, because it is. Every time you drain your savings to zero, you reset the clock. The number one threat to early-stage compounding is not a bad investment. It's the emergency that empties your account. This is why an emergency fund, a real one, 3 to 6 months of expenses in a separate account, is not just good advice. It's the structural protection that lets compounding build without interruption. Think of it as the wall around your runway. Without it, every unexpected expense is a setback that costs you years. Step 3. Stop measuring your progress against the compound interest chart. Those charts are designed to sell you on the destination. They show the hockey stick. They don't show the flat handle that most people hold for years before the curve bends. Instead, track your net worth in real numbers. Set milestones at $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, $25,000, $50,000. Celebrate each one, not because compounding is doing much at those levels, but because every milestone is closing the distance to the threshold where it will. You're not failing if the curve is still flat. You're building the runway. The plane doesn't lift off at the beginning of the runway. It lifts off at the end. But every single foot of pavement you lay is necessary. Without the full runway, the plane never leaves the ground. And one day, if you protect the base, grow the income, and stay consistent, you're going to open your app and the number will have moved more in a week than you deposited that month. That's the moment compounding stops being a chart and starts being your life. Picture Marcus at 45. He learned this at 34. He stopped trying to optimize his way to wealth and started building his income instead. He protected his emergency fund like it was a rule, not a goal. He tracked his net worth every month and celebrated $25,000 like it was a milestone worth celebrating, because it was. At 45, he has $187,000 invested. The market added $31,000 last year alone. He didn't become a different person. He didn't get lucky. He just understood the wall, built the ladder, and climbed it. The compounding minimum is real. Most people are below it. Knowing that isn't pessimism. It's the most useful piece of financial information most people never hear. Because once you know the wall is there, you stop blaming yourself for the flat part of the curve, and you start building the ladder to get over it. If this changed how you think about compounding, share it with someone who's been investing for years and wondering why the magic hasn't started yet. They probably need to hear this more than they need another chart. And if you want more content that gives you the full picture, not just the highlight reel, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.